All right, so last week we were talking about taking in Canaan, the conquest of Canaan. And we talked about how they came into Jericho. Thank you very much. And God told them to dedicate everything to Jericho. Let's go to Joshua chapter 6. Let's get a little... we're doing a little backtracking. Somebody mentioned something to me after class last week, and it kind of struck me. And I thought, well, if I always want to be sensitive, and if somebody brings something up that's interesting to them, then maybe it's interesting to all of us. And I think there's some relevance here to all of us, and especially to our parents, those who are parenting. Joshua chapter 6. And let's begin reading in about 15. Let's start reading in Joshua 6, verse 15. On the seventh day they got up at daybreak and marched around the city 7 times in the same manner, except on that day they circled the city 7 times. This is Joshua leading the Israelites to conquer Jericho, and they've marched around the city once a day for 6 days. Now they're on the 7th day, and they march around 7 times. Verse 16, when the 7th time came, or the 7th time around, when the priest sounded the trumpet blast, Joshua commanded the people, shout, for the Lord has given you the city. The city and all that is in it are to be devoted to the Lord. Only Rahab the prostitute and all who are with her house shall be spared, because she hid the spies we sent. Let's see how far we're going to go. But, verse 18, keep away from the devoted things, so that you will not bring about your own destruction by taking any of them. Otherwise, you will make the camp of Israel liable to destruction and bring trouble on it. All the silver and gold and the articles of bronze and iron are sacred to the Lord and must go into his treasury. So there's the commandment. These things are dedicated to the Lord. Now, they've already been told back in Deuteronomy a couple of times that when you go in the promised land, you need to put every breathing thing, especially every human, to the sword. And in Deuteronomy, they're told they need to do that, because if they don't, then those people, those idolaters, will lead the Israelites away from God and into their idolatry. So they are told that everything in the Jericho is to be devoted to the Lord. And how well did they keep that command? Did everybody, all the Israelites, obey the command? All but one? Yeah, Achan. And so Achan kept some of the devoted things. Let's go to chapter 7. And let's start in about verse 10. Joshua 7:10. The Lord said to Joshua, stand up. What are you doing down on your face? Israel has sinned. They have violated the covenant, which I commanded them to keep. They have taken some of the devoted things. They have stolen. They have lied. They have put them with their own possessions. This is why the Israelites cannot stand against their enemies. They turn their backs and run, because they have been made liable to destruction. I will not be with you anymore unless you destroy whatever among you is devoted to destruction. So we talked about the devoted things being the korban. The things devoted means you give it to God in a way that you can't take it back. So if you slit the animal the throat of a sacrificial animal, you can't take that animal back. It's not going to be part of your breeding stock. It's not going to be part of your livestock. If you burn your offering, you pour your drink offering out on the ground, you're giving the drink offering to God in a way you can't take it back. And so God expected Israel to take everything of value in Jericho and give it to him in a way that they can't take it back, to give him the devoted things. And Achan did not do that. And here in chapter 7, Joshua is grieving because they couldn't take Ai, and he's not sure why. And so God tells him to get up and sort this thing out, because somebody didn't do honorably with the devoted things. And we know who that was. We know that was Achan. And then we talked about this a little bit last week. Achan and his whole family pay the price, so there's something of a communal guilt there, with the head of the household bringing guilt on the rest of the household. But let's go to chapter 8, and there's something interesting here as they get ready. Now, after they deal with Achan, after they bring about the punishment that God's called for, and they remove Achan from their midst and his family, we pick up Joshua chapter 8, verse 1. Then the Lord said to Joshua, do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. Take the whole army with you and go up and attack Ai. For I have delivered into your hands the king of Ai, his people, his city, and his land. You shall do to Ai and its king as you did to Jericho and its king, except that you may carry off their plunder and livestock for yourselves. So there's a bit of a change here. When they go to Jericho, they're told to give everything to God, including the livestock and the plunder. And Ai and his family pay a high price for not obeying that command, for not honoring that command. Now, once they've paid the high price, they get ready to go into Ai for a second time, and God says, oh, by the way, you can have some of the stuff. You can have the livestock and the plunder. What's going on? Jericho was first fruit, okay, the first fruit, and whether it's your first child, your first son, or whether you're first in the flock,